Welcome everybody, Shir number 917. We're learning today Le'iloi Nishmas Charna Bas Avraham. The Neshama Shetaka have an Aliyah. The Yartzeit was Taka last week, Wednesday. We're learning Le'iloi Nishmas. Okay, so getting back to, we're in the middle of MAKEH B'PATISH, our Malacha MAKEH B'PATISH, but before we go further, I just wanted to talk about this shir which was brought to my attention. We've spoken about a little bit in the past also, but I just want to get a little bit into it. And that is the inyan of having the right sfarim in the house in reference to when it comes to Shabbos or any other halacha for that matter. What do we mean by that? What do we mean by that? I just want to talk about a person, the various different shilas that come up. As obviously, as we all see, Baruch Hashem, many of us have been listening to the shiurim for a very long time. We see how many shilas come up. We're talking about hundreds of shilas, thousands of shilas come up constantly. Obviously, one has to try and learn. Now, I'm talking a little bit more specifically on the Shabbos side. Of course, it goes for brachas, it goes for tefillah, it goes for all aspects of, it goes for kashrus, it goes for all aspects of halacha. But I'm just zooming a little bit in on the Shabbos part to give people a little bit of advice. It comes up on a Shabbos, obviously every seventh day of the week. It comes up constantly. And many times things come up, a shaila comes up, a question comes up, and a person, what is the best thing to do? You find out, you ask a Rav a shaila, what has to be done in that case? The best thing to do also, besides you ask a shaila, obviously you have to learn Hilchos Shabbos. We're all learning together Hilchos Shabbos. But many times something comes up at a time where one pashut, for example, I don't remember what the halacha was. Let's say something comes up in a question in borer. Could I separate this item? Or a question of bishul, could I do a certain thing with the blech, without the blech? And I just can't remember, for example, I can't remember what did we learn in the shir. I could do it, I can't do it, I can't recall 100%. And it might be a time of a time and place, or of the time of the day, whatever. They just can't ask a shiler. It's late at night, 11, 12 at night sometimes, or sometimes it's raining outside. You just can't get to a Rav, and this happens constantly on a weekly basis in many kamat, every single household, because Shabbos, as we've seen, Baruch Hashem, B'li Har, Bezras Hashem, Gesundheit Weiter, we've learned already way over 900 shir. We have over 900 shirim, and we're basically not even halfway, I could say. Not to scare anybody, but Hashem, we're learning it. We're learning little by little, but still shilas come up constantly. So I just want to go through some. So what's the point I'm trying to get at? The point I'm trying to get at is the importance of having sfarim, the right sfarim in one's house, where they could quickly look up a shaila and at least have an idea as to what they could do. They can't get to a Rav, they don't remember, at least have an idea what to do. So I just want to go through some important sfarim that where possible one should, or some ideas to give people good ideas where they could have these sfarim, if they don't have it at home, to try and get it, possibly if they could afford it, to get some of them possibly. Okay, so we spoke about last time a beautiful sefer written, the Lametes Malachis by Rav Riviyat Shlita, and I want to make it very clear, we're not advertising any type of sfarm right now. This is just to plain and push it to help the olam, so that they have a better idea as to which sperm could guide them in which way. We're not saying this one is better, this one is worse. That's not the issue right now. And of course, we're not advertising for anybody over here. We're just trying to bring it out into the open. So we spoke about the Sefer Lametes Malachis, which we quote constantly. It's mamish an encyclopedia of all of Shabbos. It's a 4-volume sefer. It's cut up into 4 different volumes. They're gray. I don't know if anybody ever goes to buy it in the sefer in the store. Plain and simply, you say the Shabbos Lametes Malachis, the gray Sfarim by Rav Riviyat Shlita. It could be looked up. When you look up a shaila over there, you can look it up, whether it's by malacha. If somebody doesn't know the malacha, there's a beautiful index to look up. It is intense. There's a tremendous amount of information over there. She covers kamat everything in Shabbos. Sometimes it is a little bit hard to find, but it could be done, and it's not a major issue. Again, you look either by malacha or in the index, in the front, in the back. You could look by it's all written in English. In the first part is written in English. The second part is written in the Lashon Kodesh, the Ha'ariz, and where he got it from. And if somebody wants to dig further and look further, he brings all that in the back. But plain and simply, goes through everything in every kamat, every single halacha, every single malacha. Next we have Reb Simcha ben Imkon Shlita wrote a mamish beautiful sfarim on Shabbos and many other different halachas. Also, just to give people some ideas, we have the Shabbos kitchen. He wrote something called the Shabbos kitchen, and that basically covers all the shilas, many shilas, and not all the shilas, but many shilas that come up in a kitchen, all the malachas that pertain to a kitchen itself. He also wrote the Sefer Shabbos Home. He wrote 2 volumes on the Sefer. It's called Shabbos Home. Again, these are sfarim that we quote in our shiurim constantly. So these are mamish from the beautiful sfarim that it's very important that people try and have as many of them as possible to have the variety to be able to look up. You have again the Shabbos Home, volume 1. You have volume 2, and that basically over there he covers the various different shilas in the malachas that pertain to the house. In the kitchen, you have food malachas. Then you have different malachas that pertain to the house, like boina, like MAKEH B'PATISH, which we've been learning. And so something called also is all, again, Reb Simcha ben Imkon, the radiance of Shabbos. Radiance of Shabbos has to do with candle lighting, Lechem Mishnah, Havdalah, and those various different parts of Shabbos. We have also the sanctity of Shabbos, which he wrote, which also has to do with Amir La'akim, which we didn't learn yet, in conjunction with how you could use a guy, when you could tell a guy to do something, when not, and the halachas of Rabbi Guy. Okay, so he wrote much more, but those are just some of the various different examples. Beautiful sfarim, they're all small. Those sfarim that we just mentioned are all small, very easy to look up. In the index, again, on the top you have it in English, the bottom you have it in Lashon Kodesh, where he got it from if somebody wants to even look for it. Another very good sefer. Again, we're not saying person has to run out today and buy all this sfarim, but where possible, either any one of these sfarim, or as many as sfarim as they could have. These are really important sfarim to have in a Yiddish house, as they say, to be able to look up shilas, which come up constantly on a weekly basis, and they're easy to find. You have the Shmir Shabbos Gehilchasa, which we quote all the time. In Lashon Kodesh, just to go through, the old one is in red, many of us have, and the new one is actually in gray. They came out with a new volume, it's in gray. And then they have it in English. It's broken up into 3 volumes, the English. Today it's 4 volumes, and it's plain and simple. It's 2-3 liners on each halach, each thing. I could do this, I can't do this. Very, very simple. And again, there's an index back to look up. You can look it up by malacha. You can look it up in the index in the back. And mamish, they cover hundreds and thousands of shilas in there. That's covered, and it's basically from Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. He's not the one who wrote it. Reb Neuwirth wrote it, but these are psukim from Reb Shlomo Zalman and so on. But mamish, the coverage of Hilchos Shabbos there is mamish incredible. We have also just another idea where people could have in mind from Reb Shimon Nida, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, say the Hilchos Shabbos. It was 2 volumes written. He wrote many years ago, and they were reprinted. It's called Sefer Hilchos Shabbos. Also very, very clear. He doesn't cover everything, but many of the malachas in Shabbos, very clearly written. Also important sefer to have, where people. Just going a little bit further, there's another sefer called, which we've quoted again many times. I spoke to the Mechaber, the halachas of opening packages on Shabbos, from Rabbi Abramson. He actually wrote something also on showers, now all the showers. But before we get to that, the Lemaisa opening packages on Shabbos, he goes through Kamat, every type of bottle, every type of package, every type of box in that sefer. That's all he talks about, opening packages, items on Shabbos. When one got stuck, we've spoken about in the past, one should try and have everything open before Shabbos. But where one got stuck, he goes through mamish an entire sefer. And again, the author is Rabbi Abramson, the Mechaber, on opening packages on Shabbos. Also important sefer to have where possible. Okay, and then we have, of course, those who want to go a little bit more intense. You have the Sefer Oitzer Halachas, which we quote constantly. I myself am in touch with the Mechaber all the time. Sefer Oitzer Halachas, he goes siman by siman, and the Shulchan Aruch brings down hundreds and hundreds of shilas, mamash, on every single siman. Those of us who could learn in Lashon Kodesh and look it up also, it's a good thing to have. If somebody ever wants to go through that, that's a very nice, beautiful set of from. But again, there's more than, much more than we just mentioned, but these are just mamish touching the top of the iceberg. But the importance, the bottom line is of today's shir, what I want to just bring out is the importance of having some of the Sfarim at least, whether it's in English, if somebody they can't learn Lashon Kodesh, they have in English, and of course it goes without saying the Mishabura, but we're talking about Mishabura is obviously the Mishabura. We all know the Mishabura, but we want to talk a little bit more about, for example, all the modern day things, many examples which come up in a modern day home. And specifically more in the English part of it, which we've mentioned. All those Sfarim that we mentioned in English, besides the Sefer Yitzhak Halachas in general, Mishabura and others, but the other Sfarim, they're all written in English, like we said, and Lashon Kodesh with the Ma'ameh Kaimah. So the importance is, the bottom line is the importance of having some of these Sfarim at least. Shilas come up constantly. We spoke about it a few years ago when we first started talking about the Shiurim, the importance of being able to look up Shilas, because a person that it comes to Hilchos Shabbos, sometimes you're dealing mamish with a deraisa, dealing with a derabanan. You want to try at least to have an idea when that shaila comes up as to what to do, and of course to learn it the right way, which we always do, and to ask a shaila. But many times we get stuck, and the eitzah is to have the Sfarim to look up these inyanim, and it goes without saying for all other different areas of halacha where possible. Thank you for listening. Hatzlacha and bracha kol tov.